Hi, Rachel. Yeah, I'm back. Who doesn't go to 7-Eleven? I go there all the time. It's a fast place for getting whatever that you need. But you're at home. It's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You forgot a few things. You're not going to get back in your car and drive to 7-Eleven. You can now pick up an app and buy off the 7-Eleven app, and a Solo comes and delivers it to your door. I've seen her deliver like $10 worth of food to somebody just so she could go for a drive. She even knows that doesn't make any sense, but she just likes driving it. And one of the neat things, and this is our investor relations firm, KCSA, have booked us into something called Showstoppers, which I'm just going to mention anyway. Even though it's a media-only event, they invite the media to these things, hands-on demos. They get to meet like Mark, Chris, Henry, drive the Solo, see what it is, drill deep, and then report back in USA Today, CNN. Everybody is there. Dell, Ericsson, Microsoft, Samsung, Telenav, Toshiba, I have heard of them, Western Digital, these are there. Media that'll be there, BBC, Time, Forbes, TechCrunch. I've talked to a movie producer about producing a movie about the life and times of the Reisner family. And I guess the reason that catches my attention is that these are people with empathy, and they understand that there's families who are investing their money in companies that are being listed. Their job is to make sure that the companies that are listed on NASDAQ are credible, real companies with solid management. You don't want flakes on there. You go to auto shows, and I'm tired of a bunch of jackasses asking people when they're going to fit a V8 into a Tesla. And that's the kind of jackasses that you see at auto shows. As you're watching this, if you have any other questions, just ping over via Facebook. And we've got our operators standing by, dozens of operators standing by to take your messages. And there is no bigger stage than NASDAQ. And right at the close of it, we had an incredible week in the stock markets. We are doing so well, beyond my expectations, by a long shot. The company is roaring along. Cars have been delivered. The company has never been stronger. The company has $20 million in the bank. The annual report coming out in March of next year. We'll have our quarterly filing in the next day or two. Have somebody read it to you, Brad, and stay away from your keyboard before you make stupid comments. You can only produce 5,000 cars next year. How are you going to make any money with that production rate? This is a candidate for the best question, and that is really a good question. The reality is that we'll probably be revenue neutral that year and look towards making our 25% gross profit in 2020 when we do 20,000 cars. The stock price high that we had was $16. That being the case, I still will maintain that 2018 will be the biggest year in the history ever of Electra Meccanica vehicles as we go forward. Even 2019 will not be as big. Not just tens, not just hundreds, but thousands of our production Solos to be delivered to all of you. So that's my Christmas gift to you. That's still on decks. Our factory here in Canada, our factory in Asia, and we have other factories being sorted out around the world, the United States, Europe, India, Mexico, and Canada, an expansion of our factory right here. I believe that before I hold this mic in December next year, everybody who's on Mark's list will be driving around in their Solos. So get ready for that. Second one, if you live in Beijing or Shanghai, Chongqing, or Qingdao, your car is being built in China for you because it's close there. If you're in Canada, you'll have your car built in Canada. And if you're in America, you'll probably have it built in America. And then have the first cars probably June, July, August is when I'm expecting to see the first cars from there in China and shipped around the world so that we can test them here as well too. The car is running. The car is in mass production right now. Our team is in Burnaby building 4 to 10 cars. We have other facilities going up around the world. How close are we to being on schedule? We're not very close at all, Steve. We are way ahead of schedule. So I did not think that we would be at this pace to be able to deliver 5,000 cars in a year. And as far as car companies go, and understanding that I know the founders of Tesla, as they were starting, there's no way they could have dreamt of building as many cars as we have in the pipeline right now. We have 26 of these bad boys on the road. What is the status of USA production of Solo and Chinese production of Solo? So our factory in Chongqing has got their first cars heading to Los Angeles in September. And I believe those will be coming out in September. There is no USA production yet, but my team, Anthony, Paul, how are you doing? And also James, who's working along with them. We are working on a production facility in a couple of states there. Volume. I think, Mark, we're supposed to get 500 vehicles shipped by December. We don't know if they'll actually be landed at the docks here. And it's coming. It's coming. The first one went to the United States yesterday. I witnessed finally Meccanica after 60 years of being in business. Founded in Turin in 1959, Los Angeles in 75, Vancouver in 81. Thousands of hand-built Italian cars. In the 60-year history of Intermeccanica, they have produced 3,000 cars. What is the timeline of getting the Solo built in China and shipped over? When can we expect the first mass shipment? Christopher, I don't know if you ordered a mass amount of them. I think you probably ordered just one or two of them, but they'll be coming into the LA facility beginning in November. So facilities there. Before that, we'll have our Canadian hand-built cars going down there so people can do test drives. And the first mass, I think there's 20 or 30 coming in November, December, and then hundreds a month. Can't wait. We had a partners meeting yesterday that right now we've got a bazillion orders for the Solo. Let's get those things out there. Another registered offering in the books. The cars are coming out. I think more than half of our team is now over at our factory, our new factory in China. I think Chris is going to be going over them the next 2 weeks. Not everybody can get over to Hong Kong. It currently takes us between 4 and 7 days to produce a Solo at our pre-production facility, basically by hand. The factory can knock them out in under 3 hours. That's incredible, and should even be able to do them faster than that. So it's not a fully automatic assembly line. It's semi-automatic or semi-automated, but still going from 4 to 7 days to 3 hours, under 3 hours. Deliveries began last year, 2017. They continue this year. What about the fact that orders decreasing by 100,000 units? That's not a fact, Austin. Our sales, our pre-orders continue to go up. Taking reservations on $4.3 billion worth of cars, right? I'm not even sure how many zeros there are in a bill. How many commas is that? A sale is when the car is actually delivered. The pre-order is the book of people saying, we want this. That is not a fact. For the question, Austin, not well researched. The company is $4.3 billion worth of orders on our electric cars. $4.3 billion worth of orders. $4.3 billion worth of orders. Because as we all know, what goes in Vegas stays in Vegas. I left on a big trip, a global trip. We went to Hong Kong and a bunch of other places, watching the Formula E races in Hong Kong. And flying back from Beijing to Vancouver on Monday. You actually leave at 5 p.m. on Monday. Then I went to some other places in China. There's a little island called Hainan, which is kind of like the Maui of China. That was really interesting. And then went to a beautiful city called Qingdao. If you ever go to China, look up Qingdao, Qingdoa. I'm not a big fan of getting together at night and alcohol and all that sort of stuff for the company. So we do a fantastic breakfast at the beautiful Granville Island Hotel in Vancouver, BC. If you're out there anywhere, look up Granville Island Hotel for Vancouver. It is the boutique hotel to stay at. Just gorgeous. Geez, I guess it was November. I was in Hong Kong for the first of the Formula E races, which is electric Formula One. A lot of them will be down in Arizona, in Las Vegas, in China, in Europe, all over the place. It seems over the the past 6 months, I've been spending more time in Manhattan, New York, than I have in Vancouver or anywhere in Canada. A lot of people. You're in Times Square. What's bigger than Times Square? I don't know. A rep in Washington, D.C. I hope you're watching, Bob. It was great to meet up with you again there. So we go from New York to L.A. Studio City. We're a block away from Universal Studios. We're around the corner from CBS Studios. And I have been to the shop in Los Angeles before it was renovated. Squamish is halfway between Vancouver and the famous resort town of Whistler. So as you're going up to Whistler, beautiful mountain roads. You see the ocean as you're going up. Halfway along, there's this charming city called Squamish. And I forget, it's called the Sea to Sky tram that goes up there. Everybody goes on that because it's breathtaking. It's like Switzerland breathtaking. Just halfway through, you go up there, it's a quick trip and all that. But they also have a lot of events there because there's big parking lots where you can stage a bunch of motorcycles, cars, and things like Viva Electra Fest. Oh my goodness, did we ever have a great event there. We go. So Tim and Larry and I were down in San Francisco with a couple of the cars, driving them around. Then we went to the Sheraton. Was it the Sheraton or the Hilton that we were down there? Hilton. In San Francisco for 3 days, meeting with all kinds of people who are interested in Electra Meccanica, the Solo, the Tofino. So it has been a busy month, and most of the time in the past month, I've spent it in New York. I was out there with our team at investor meetings for 2 weeks. Sportsman's Lodge. Wow, we stayed there. That place has the biggest swimming pool of any hotel I've ever stayed at. That's where all the movie stars and everybody hung out and did parties. And there was 1 or 2 big parties there while we were there. So we are working on airbags in the steering wheel and perhaps on the side windows. So it currently doesn't have an airbag in it. There's no requirement for that. But we are working on airbags for not only the steering wheel, also the sides of it. One of the innovations that we're putting on is we're putting an airbag on the outside of the windshield, on the leading edge. If you hit a pedestrian, or for pedestrian you said, heaven forbid, right? It's not hitting the legs that kills the person. It's when their head hits the windshield. So the newest innovation, I think Volvo, General Motors have patents on this, but we also have a company that's working in conjunction with our engineers. The front bumper senses that, and an airbag inflates over the whole windshield, protecting the person's head from striking the windshield. So the only innovation that we have on that is, heaven forbid that should happen, we at Electra Meccanica will actually fix that for you free, no charge. We'll take care of that one. So for our cars, there's nothing required. But for anywhere in the world, there is crash testing, and we have seen some amazing crash tests. And if you wanted to make a car float or go underwater or in the air, more on that later. You get insurance from the insurance company. Insures just like a car, everywhere except for the United States where it insures as a motorcycle. Induction charging is something that's going to be brought out in parallel with the autonomous drive. So I'm looking at probably 18 to 24 months before we have an autonomous vehicle out there with induction charging. I once blew up $70,000 worth of batteries. It was in the center motorcycle headlight, which is required to meet U.S. certification as a motorcycle. So my understanding is that it's going to be an autocycle category soon in the United States. U.S. All testing is completed and passed. We should have a release on that soon. Is the compliance testing done? Manfred, good to hear from you again. Compliance testing is an ongoing thing that all car companies do on a regular basis. No cars stay still. You're always adding things, an added wiper, changing a shock absorber, all that. So the world of automotive manufacturing is a growing thing. So whenever something like that happens, you self-test the cars. Compliance testing always happens. So questions looks like, what states will require use of a helmet? No states will require a use of a helmet in the United States. We went through a roof crush test that we passed. Registration in the United States. There's no crash test required on a motorcycle. Odd. They know what's going to happen on a motorcycle. So And I think Washington State was one of the few states that required that. So once you go through a roof crush test, which doesn't work on a motorcycle, but does work on a solo, then you can just wear it. Wear the seatbelt. You don't have to wear a seatbelt on a motorcycle, but please wear the seatbelt. It's in the car. It's a car. That's a good way to make it happen. Kooky car we could find that we have the Speedsters, the Roadsters, the Solo, our Slingshot that we have, all the vehicles that we use to benchmark our cars on. We brought them all out there. We had a beautiful big silver Fisker Karma. We had a couple of Tesla Model X's out there, including a P100D Monster. That was really awesome. And we had Ray driving that, which was awesome to see. Even Henry enjoyed that Ray was driving that. Some idiot brought a Lamborghini Huracan out there. And we bought a Tesla, no problem. Next time we bought a Tesla, they said, oh, we changed it, so anything over $100,000 doesn't get one. The heck? So if you buy a $100,000 gas guzzler, you're just as good off as buying a $100,000. That makes no sense. That's just rubbish. So in between stints in the green race car, he'll be getting out while his crew works on the car. He'll be getting into a Lamborghini Huracan and giving people rides around the track. How often do you get a ride from a 14-year-old in a Lamborghini? Amazing. This is my quote from Henry for me to get my own British Racing Green wide body e-roadster. So I don't know how long it's going to take, probably 3 or 4 months to build. When I go on a long haul in the Model X, like I drove down to California, it's really handy to have if you're going on a long distance. You were just there with us on Saturday. I think I took Alex for a ride in some sort of a wacky Italian sports car, and he got out a little green after that. Going super fast while having my Dachshund Zuka in my lap. You had some crazy guy with a wiener dog driving you around in an Italian sports car. We also have a Tesla Model X. Actually, we have 2 of them. National Drive Electric Week is every week, Bob. We do that all the time, every day. And we never drive gas. Sort of lets you know how embarrassing it is to be seen driving around in a gas car. You don't even know how embarrassing it is until you're in an electric car and you're gliding along and some guy beside you goes brrr, brrr. You might as well be in a coal-powered car, right? It's really, or pedaling it. That's how embarrassing that is, right?